Good evening, boys and girls. We are going to do things a little different tonight. We're going to dive into what came in the mail today, and then I'm going to show you what came in the mail yesterday. We're getting crazy tonight. First up is from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Oh boy. Uh, why are we changing it up? Well, it's because I tried to do it the normal way last night. I filmed a version of the video. I was really tired. I didn't think it came out very well, so I'm just saving it all for tonight. First up here is The Raven with John Cusack, and you may recall that I had a custom cover for it, but I found this one with the slipcover for cheap, and I could have, gone with it, but I also was like, well, I can probably just sell the custom cover, and so I did. And, because I've got the custom covers are really kind of there as I could put it on the inside if I wanted, but primarily it's kind of meant to be a unique substitute for if I don't happen to have the slipcover. But I have not seen this film, but the plot seemed kind of interesting, and it was cheap, so why not? It's about Edgar Allan Poe having to solve some murders, based on his stories, so how about that? And it's with our dear Alice Eve, who's, and then next up, we have one, from, where is it from? San Diego, California. And and part of the other reason why I wanted to re-record this one was because in my first attempt, I was kind of, well, not only was I low energy, but I also was kind of disappointed by some things, and so now I'm sort of, containing myself a bit more. So next up is The African Queen, which, what a masterpiece of a movie this is. It's from, what was it, 1951, directed by John Huston. I've never quite gotten a consistent answer on that. But with Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn, it's an amazing kind of adventure romance film, which is all about that. It's about, this journey upriver, this man and this woman during wartime in a boat, and it's really good stuff. I have to admit, though, I haven't watched it in a long time, and so that's part of why I wanted to grab it up. And also because I wanted to put my custom cover to good use. Now, little lesson in the custom cover world. So that, as you can see, this was the official case, but look, with some of the custom covers that you print off, they tend to get kind of bunched. I don't know if you can really see on camera, but they get kind of bunched because there's like maybe a millimeter or so that's thicker when you get these replacement cases. They're like just a millimeter or two thicker. And so these custom covers are designed for like a certain millimeter size, like 11 millimeters or sometimes 14 if they're trying to do the UK sizes. So that's why you got to be careful with not only your sizing but also how you cut them, because sometimes if you cut them too close, then you can cut the text too close or whatever. So you got to be really careful with just how closely you cut them. But at any rate, we saw the original artwork there, which is great. I just wanted to get an excuse to try out this artwork because I feel like this looks like, if you put the Criterion Collection info here, this could easily be a Criterion cover, I think. Although, the original artwork looks great too, so you got two different options. Now, there is a slipcover for this, but it's kind of expensive, and then there are other, like, fancier versions I've found that are really expensive, but I really was wanting to give this a try, so, yeah, I think it looks pretty damn good. And, what else do we have? We have a few flat envelopes, so these are discs only, I think. One of the another reason, so with the re-record, in my first attempt, I was sort of puzzled and disappointed by this disc-only thing that I ordered that wasn't just the disc-only, it was the official case and everything. And so I was like, well, what the fuck? But anyway, well, I'll just do these both at once. So this one, first one is from Revere, Massachusetts, and then this one's from Redding, California. And yeah, they're both discs only because, again, I'm trying to fill up my custom covers, and it's like, well, what's the point of having the custom covers if you're just going to get the original artwork in a, case and all that stuff. Now, it's cool to have it as a reversible. It's just, it's one of those things where you're like, well, I got this specifically so I could stand out and be different. So the first one up is, I don't know, I haven't actually seen the disc, in person before now. It's for Cop Out, but is the version that is normally out there, is it in black and white like this? I really don't know. I mean, I kind of like that it is, but it's because I'm a big fan of black and white, but nonetheless, I'm like, well, I haven't quite seen that before on like a new movie, but anyway, yeah, Cop Out. It was the most kind of lambasted of Kevin Smith's career before Yoga Hosers. I haven't seen either one, but that's why I got it for cheap, because I wanted to fill up, the Kevin Smith collection, and also because I like this custom cover. I think it makes it look a lot cooler. And so yeah, now it is in its rightful place. And then similarly, I had an Action Thrillers 4-pack that included this movie, and I ended up selling that 4-pack because of this custom cover of Blood Diamond just on its own. Wanted to show that off, and then there's the disc only. Because, again, we try to be different around here. We try to be weird and wacky and whacked out of our fucking minds. And what better way to do it than with a cool cover like that? So yeah, Blood Diamond. Still got a few custom covers yet to fill up, but we'll get there as we get there. So those are the ones that came today, and we're just going to show off the ones that came yesterday. So there are a couple of big ticket items that came yesterday that I wanted to show off, and I wanted to do it when I had more energy. So, similar to the Ravens situation, where, as you can see, I mean, I like the slipcover design of this quite a bit. I mean, I think it looks great whenever you have a slipcover for something. It gives it that extra level of prestige. It's just a matter of trying to always stand out from the rest. So, you try to find slipcovers that, for movies that they're maybe not necessarily all that easy to find or whatever. Similar situation happened with Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I finally managed to find the 3D version of this film with the slipcover for not too much money, because part of what was holding me back was that, I wanted to get one with the slip, and I don't have a 3D TV yet, but I want to get one at some point, and it's like, that would just be the best solution. The problem is that it was always so kind of expensive, but I managed to find a version of it with the slip. And then at that point, I was like, well, I don't really need that reversible cover anymore. Now, I still have the digital files, so if I change my mind, I can always reprint it for cheap. So it's not like it was a waste of money or anything. It's just like, well, if that reversible cover can go to good use with someone who doesn't have a Custom Maniacs account, who doesn't have the digital file, then go ahead. Because, again, this is a really cool design, and you can't see it when the slipcover is on. So it's like, what's the point of a reversible cover unless you just want to decorate the inside, which is perfectly fine. But anyway, so that custom cover, again, I have the digital file. I just, and if I want to reprint it, I can. It's just not a huge priority at this point. Because, as we know, necessity is the mother of invention. Speaking of which, Argento's Dracula in 3D with that beautiful custom artwork there with this beautiful boobalicious vampire lady, which, guess what? Same artwork on the disc only, but it's a mirror image of itself. But it's funny because, again, the official artwork doesn't look like this, but obviously this custom artwork was derived from official artwork that exists somewhere. So, yeah, but I think that's a cooler cover, too. And then, similarly, we have Burlesque here, which this poster, or this custom artwork looks like an actual Burlesque show poster, which is cool. And I haven't seen this, but, I know people love it, or a certain, segment of the population really loves it, and I like Cher, so why not? And I just like the design of this thing. It looks really cool. And we're slightly out of alphabetical order, but I just wanted to devote a little bit of time to talking about A Beautiful Mind here, which I have not watched in such a long time. Part of why I wanted to do it, part of it being also that this custom artwork's really cool. But this is one where I order it, and it comes with the original case, as the original cover and case as well. Despite it not being advertised that way, it said that it was the disc only and no artwork and everything. And for most people, if they ordered it and, they found the original case and everything, they'd be like, oh, good, I didn't get screwed. But for me, it's like, well, okay, I've got a reversible there, so that's good. But, the whole point was to try to have, like, this all-encompassing thing. And especially because this custom artwork has the barcode, and it's like if you were just a casual observer, you would think it was, the real thing. But again, at least you got options. But yeah, I have not watched this movie in such a long time, and it's one that I haven't watched when it wasn't on TV. So there's probably a lot about it that it was edited out. I really don't know. But yeah, I want to give it another chance. And then, the big ticket items are as follows. One of them was the UK box set of the MCU Captain America films. And, you may have seen that I showed off, the Thor ones that I got from a friend for cheap. I did that. I got the other Avengers films, but to be honest, I really don't like the artwork on those, and also some of the slipcovers for those, like some of them didn't come with the slipcovers, and to track the slipcovers down is really, really difficult, and the slipcovers just on their own are actually much more expensive than the actual 4K films, and I'm like, well, what's the point of that? So I'm trying to sell those off, and I've been partially successful. I'm trying to sell the other ones, and I'm trying to get the UK box versions of the 4Ks of the Thor films and the Avengers films. The Avengers ones are on their way. I'm going to get the Thor ones before too long, and reason being is A, for consistency, and B, because I really hate the American artwork on those 4Ks. I like the fact that the box here for so Iron Man, it's the Iron Man mask, Captain America's the shield, Guardians of the Galaxy, it's the group shot, and Avengers, it's the Avengers logo. It was just the first 3 Avengers films, so not Endgame. And then Thor, it's him holding Mjolnir. It's a close-up on that. And then when you open them up here individually, they have, the original artwork, and they look, well, some of, the original official poster designs, and just kind of looks a little bit more like how I think in my head it should go. Everybody's got a different thought on that, but, that's just how I feel about it. 'Cause see, like, this is the artwork that you would see on the disc itself if you were to do the American one. And I just think, could you have made a more boring design? I don't think you could have. And I know that they were trying to be all uniform and everything, but it's like, there's uniformity and then there's being dull. And, these are the exact kind of movies you don't want to make look dull. But anyway, yeah, I think my favorites out of these, I think it's probably Winter Soldier, and then Civil War, and then First Avenger, even though First Avenger kind of has improved with time, but I think Winter Soldier is overall the most complex, and then Civil War isn't as good as the original comic book arc from which it takes its name. The original comic book arc, it was more complex, and it had a lot more characters that obviously aren't in the MCU yet, but they just really dived into every angle of that issue of to register or not to register, all that stuff. And the film version is solid for what it is. It's just a little bit more simplistic, comparatively speaking. But nonetheless, great set. And then I have to be honest, so I was really looking forward to this particular release. I pre ordered it because it's a good film, even though it too is oversimplified relative to its original comic book source material, much more so than Civil War, because this particular source material comes from the one and only Alan Moore. But I guess that's to be expected with Alan Moore adaptations because he's not too keen on those. Number one, and number two, this is a good film in and of itself, but the graphic novel's way better. And that's the V for Vendetta Amazon for exclusive set of the 4K re-release. But I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of disappointed by this set here. I expected a lot more from it. So just for comparison's sake, let's look at our Captain America set. The box is nice and hard. It's sturdy. The cases themselves, I mean, they're all individually packaged and everything, but the whole thing just has a good feel to it. It's nice and solid. Whatever material they used here, it's quite a bit thinner. It feels a lot flimsier, like it could be subject to damage a lot easier. And then, look, it just kind of flip-flops open like that. And then you open it up. Now, I like the roses here. The actual design of the 4K case here is good. No slipcover in this version of it. In the individual release, I think there is, but that's not a huge deal because you put this, it's small enough to put on your shelf. But yeah, I mean, the film itself is quite solid. It's just more so that in the Wachowskis who produced it, did the screenplay, didn't direct it. It was James McTeague who directed it, but in their quest, which I hate how boring there's no artwork, there's no pizzazz. It's just thanks Warner Brothers. I guess that's just their contemporary design, their lack of designs these days because they just don't care. But yeah, in their quest to try to update the story and to transplant it from a criticism of the Thatcher Parliament, the Thatcher government of the 80s in Britain, they were trying to make it a critique of the Bush administration and trying to introduce other issues. Instead of nuclear war, it was like biological warfare and disease. And, you still have your fascistic authoritarian government in both versions. But it feels like, I think it was Alan Moore he doesn't watch any of the adaptations of his work, but like he was saying that it was just weird that they were trying to basically, that because Americans couldn't really do an effective critique of their own government, that they had to like transplant a critique of a different government and try to do it that way, which I can understand. And it's a little letter here, and it's from James McTeague, the director. I'll have to read this, but so you got that, and all you really get outside of this case here, which is so flimsy, I think it's just even cardboard. It feels very thin. Not a lot of pizzazz there. And then you got this booklet here, which is, admittedly, it's got some neat pictures and things. But it's one of those things where I think if people didn't read the graphic novel, then I think that you would like the movie a lot more, which I obviously liked it quite a bit because I own it. It's just one of those things where, well, the changes that they made to the actual regime being critiqued do make it a different story. Plus, like, this version of V, he is portrayed as much more of a kind of classical, I guess you'd say, classical freedom fighter, as opposed to V in the graphic novel, who's a lot more morally ambiguous, and he's much more of like a classical anarchist in the sense that he's not there, being like, oh, freedom for the people, blah, blah, blah. It's like he wants full-blown chaos so that way, because he believes that the natural state of the world is anarchy, is no government, no nothing, and that there would be a kind of serenity that would arise from that, which, that's an overly simplistic summary of it, but point being that the film, in its attempts to, I assume, be more commercially viable, it tries to transplant not only different government being critiqued, but again, it's still London and everything, but it's just so painfully obvious which government they're critiquing, and it's not a British one. So not only that, but they also, changing the focus on these motivations, plus the climax is totally different, and it actually did give rise to the idea behind Anonymous, the movement, with people dressing up in the Guy Fawkes masks and, publicly protesting and, doing the cyber attacks and stuff like that. Which is interesting in its own right. It just shows that fiction can influence reality, and reality can influence fiction and reflect it, and all that stuff. As Ellen Moore would say, that the line between fiction and reality is porous and semi-permeable, and so I mean that part's pretty interesting. It's just more so that the graphic novel is just more complex. It gives you more to chew on, and it's less clear cut, I think, and that's much more interesting to me than kind of a yet another, because again, this is the Wachowskis who are adapting it, so it's another kind of Matrix-esque, lone hero in black who rises up against an authoritarian regime to topple it and to bring freedom back to the people, and that kind of narrative, which works great in the Matrix. And here, it's not that those elements aren't here, it's just they're a lot more complex than just that. But still, a good film for what it is. I just think it could have been a little bit truer to Alan Moore's spirit, but then again, if it were too true to his spirit, it A, might not have been all that commercially viable, and B, probably wouldn't have gotten made in the first place because of that, and because he doesn't really like his work being adapted in the first place. But at any rate, that's where we're at. I still need to find the discs for The Adventures of Tintin, Aeon Flux, and Secretary. The discs for these bad boys still need to arise in the mail, but they shall hopefully arise in the mail in the next few days or so. But I just wanted to show that off to you because I assume a lot of you guys out there probably have your own V for Vendetta set. Did you like this set? I mean, I'll be honest, I think it's kind of piss poor. I assume that the Best Buy Steelbook is better, but whatever. If you like this, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, set phasers to stun, warp factor 5. And before I go, I realized too late that the last episode, the Halloween one, was actually my 100th episode. Woo! So, I should have given that a little bit more hoopla, but at the same time, I whipped out the monkey suit, so maybe that's hoopla in and of itself. And I threw on a bow tie as well as the monkey suit, so be thankful, goddammit. But yeah, I will see you in the next video. Continue to stay safe out there amidst the pandemic and amidst the recounts and the, bluster and the protests and the this and the that. We're not out of the woods yet as far as that goes, but hopefully all will be well soon. So stay tuned.